Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special edition of HR Mentorship Learning Series. This particular series happens once in a while. We call it Conversation with a Mentor. And one of the things I try to do is to share based on my experience and the experience of my colleagues, friends, with us on a typical subject area around HR or around our workplace, career development, and so on and so forth. Today is going to take a slightly different twist. One of my colleagues and friends, Paul Occasional, will be joining me. So from time to time, he'll be wading in on the conversation, and I could also ask him to say one or two things at different times. Of course, as we do when we have these sessions, we also allow for contributions and comments from the floor. There are several senior experienced people on this group. So at any point, you don't necessarily need to wait till the end of this session. Maybe we're on a particular page or slide and you want to share an experience or tell us something insightful, raise your hands, I will recognize you and also give you the floor. One of the things around this is don't do introduction or anything. We just say welcome and we go right ahead. Now, the topic for tonight is job hopping or staying put. Succeeding in either scenario. First and foremost, let me make this declaration upfront. I am a job hopper. I need to say that upfront. And I will share part of my story as the session progresses. Okay. But I will say that some people are job hoppers intentionally, and some people are job hoppers because of career circumstances, opportunities, challenges. But what we'll be looking at tonight, whether you are a job hopper intentionally or you are someone who stays put somewhere permanently or for a long period of time, you can succeed either ways. We'll look at a couple of concepts. Now, job hopping or staying put, succeeding in either what scenarios. Choosing between job hopping and staying put is a common dilemma for many professionals. Both have benefits and challenges, but whether you will stick with one company for a long time or switch jobs frequently, your career success is ultimately determined by your ability to first and foremost adapt. Secondly, to learn. And thirdly, to grow. Because even when you stay in one organization, I can tell you for free that changes will be meeting you there. For example, I remember working in a particular organization for just 2 years. In that 2 years, I had 3 managing directors, including an Indian. Guess what? Each of the 3 managing directors brought their own philosophy, their own approach. So you can even be in one place and the magnitude of change will be so mammoth, it may even be more destabilizing than for someone leaving or changing organization. Let me quickly run us through our curriculum outline for tonight to guide us in tonight's conversation. We'll look at the introduction. We've already done a bit of that. We'll still do a little more. Look at what is job hopping, what are the reasons for job hopping, what are the benefits and pros of job hopping, what are the drawbacks and cons of job hopping. Okay, we'll also look at advantages of staying put. We'll look at disadvantages of staying put. We'll also look at proactive and strategic approach to job hopping and maximizing opportunities while you are staying put with the same organization. All right, so I would just like to invite Paul here to just provide like a brief overview on this subject. Paul, what are your initial thoughts on this subject matter? Still around the introduction.
Okay, well, for me, within the overview of what we have as job hopping and staying put, we've been able to see that it's particularly on some levels of individuals, which we've been able to segment them to like millennials, Gen Z, Generation X, and so on. So they have different patterns. So for Generation Z or Gen Z, most of them would like to up and try as much as possible to move on to a position whereby, or an organization whereby the culture engagement is within the organization. However, for the millennial, they opt because of benefits, they opt because of pay, they opt because of some certain things that could improve them per se within the organization. So with the rise of the gig economy and changing attitude towards every organization, and ever understanding and the pros and cons of staying put and job holding. So millennial in particular are known for job hopping tendency, and they are very, very gestation, established career paths in search of something more fulfilling or something more opportunity in every organization they've worked with. So in recent research, we've seen Gen Z likely to hop. They tend to move from one organization or the other. Like I said, it's basically because the majority of them would like to have an environment whereby they could work, culture is there, and they are well engaged in such environments.
Thank you so much, Paul. One more question for you as we proceed. Would you call yourself a job hopper or someone who stays put?
Well, I'm a job hopper, like you said. So in most cases, most of us have started our career quite very, would I say old? Let me just say something like that. So we tend to try as much as possible to cover that gap. So in doing that, we need to hop. We need to, keep on moving. But one thing we must also understand is the fact that while moving from one job to another, it means that you've been able to improve yourself in certain areas. So we are not upping because of we are still learning. We are upping because we've learned, we've gathered so many things to make us move from one job to the other. So when job upping, it doesn't mean you must have the necessary skills and acquisition to move from one job to the other. So let's say you are moving from company ABC to company XYZ. It's because you've been able to pass through what we call the recruitment process of that organization, the selection process of that organization. And we'll connote people like that to know their onions. That is, they've been able to put themselves through learning and development. I, for one, like I do tell people, I, for one, started HR from the internet. I never knew anything about the HR. While in NYC, I just went on to the internet. I said, what can I do for myself within this short period of time? And I went on to the internet and I gathered so many materials together just to keep on improving myself. So job hopping is good when you understand the nature of your job, when you know the nitty-gritty of your job. So when you know the onions of what you need to do from recruitment to learn and development to whatever career you are on, it is very, very, very easy to move from one job to the other. And that is why we call them experts. We call some people key talent. Okay, let me just say key talent, because key talent, they move, they don't stay.
Thank you so much for that. That was quite insightful. Now, let's look at some definition so that we can also have better understanding. So job hopping is generally defined as the frequency at which a candidate or an employee moves from one job to another, usually less than 2 years in a position. So if, for example, you have 10 years experience and you did 7 years somewhere, 2 years somewhere, we may not necessarily call you a job hopper. But if you, for example, done 10 years and you've worked in 5 places within that 10 years, which means an average of 2 years, 3 years, 18 months, 6 months, then you will be defined as what? You will be classified as a job hopper. This definition will differ based on different organizations and also career level. For some organizations, staying less than 6 months in a job role will be defined as what? Job hopping. Whereas for some, staying less than 2 years is a major cause for concern. So, for example, speaking about myself, there are some organizations that have gotten my CV and they won't even invite me for interview. They may say something like, the guy is good, he knows his job, he's a flight risk. The guy is good, he knows his job, is a flight risk. let me quickly say here that another term for job hopping, especially in Nigeria, especially in this part of the world, is flight risk. We will say this guy is a career flight risk. Okay, all right, just to quickly add that. Now, let's look at some reasons for job hopping. Paul, run us through some of the reasons you know. I will also say some things after this slide.
Okay, some of the reasons which I know for job hopping is salary, because we by what we call salary benchmarking, we've been able to compare and contrast salary between industries, inter-industries, and inter-industries. Whichever industry you belong to, maybe banking, what XYZ bank is paying you is different from what ABC bank is paying. So people would like to move from one job because of salary. And also career advancements. Like I said, when your career is stalling, maybe you've been stagnant in an organization for too long, or let's say age is not on your side. And we can also want to say that we know the retirement age according to the labor law to be 60 years, and time is running. So people move for career advancement. People that have been middle level, lower level would want to move to the C-suite, would want to move to the managerial points of view of their career. So while in that situation, they feel stagnant, and they want to move from one place to the other. Also, one of the major reasons why we find that people are upping, like I said, the major workforce we have in Nigeria currently is the Gen Z. They are everywhere. Is the company culture. Once the culture is not there, then employees will start finding ways to move. And we've seen within HR mentorship group where people say about how toxic their environment is, and trying to map up their exit plan and everything. So the culture of your organization is important. And in most cases, we do say one thing: when we do not have culture in an organization, believe you me, we might say the HR is at fault, but also the employer is not approving some implementation in that organization, or transcends to, let's say, the line managers, which are one of the naysayers in organizational culture. And lastly, we have workload. When the workload is too much, I, for one, left an organization because of the workload, because by 6 a.m., you need to start doing something. By 9 p.m., you're still working. You are still on your system, doing payroll, doing one thing or the other. So workload also is also an unrealistic expectation that leads to burnout and making people more likely to consider upping jobs. So these are one of the common reasons. Also, we can also look at some of the factors that could also lead to job hopping is what we call industrialization, leading to globalization. So when an environment is industrialized, for example, we'll use the Jackpot syndrome. People would move from one country to the other because certain jobs, certain labor are there waiting for people to take up the roles. So these are one of the reasons why people move from jobs to jobs.
Thank you so much. A lot of people, move based on salary, career advancements, company culture, and workload. Paul, when you mentioned workload, you made me to remember one of the quotes, memorable quotes of our immediate past president, when he said, "Lazy Nigerian, you can complete the quotes. If you're a Nigerian, you understand what we are talking about." Now, let's look at quickly benefits of job hopping. You will see that it's in alignment with one of the reasons for job hopping: increased salary. You will agree with me that most of the time, it is easier for a typical organization to offer more salary or more competitive salary to a professional or expert coming from outside than to somebody who is already an internal candidate, someone who is already an incumbent, who is already a staff. I will use one colloquial language: see finish. If you know the best statement in English to express that phrase, see finish, please help me type it. I would like to also say it in case one or two people on this call don't understand Nigerian English. When you are in an organization, when you are in an organization, no matter how prolific you are, there is this tendency that you will be underrated. Your wisdom will appear common. However, when you go out to meet with a group of people who have not seen you before, and you are running an interview session, you run a case study session, you profile solution, they will be like, wow, little wonder. Yeah, that is the word, Afolake, over familiarity. It's not just familiarity. Make it a compound phrase, over familiarity. We take for granted what is familiar, what is close to us. And that's one of the reasons why it is difficult. Also, if you are already a staff and you are looking at a position ahead of you, there's this tendency, the organization will be benchmarking you with people who entered with you into the organization the same year, the same period. They'll be looking at your peers. Meanwhile, if you are coming from outside, they will typically focus on your capabilities to get the job done. And in that instance, they will focus on what? Can he do the job? Even if you have 5 years experience and the person holding that role before you had 10 years experience, they will discount the extra 5 years or the difference between the 10 years and the 5 years because they have run you through an assessment center or assessment procedure and they found you competent. But if you are already in the house and the determination is that you need 10 years experience for this job and you have 5 years, if they give you the job, they will only increase your salary marginally. And this is one of the reasons why employees who typically job up, move around quickly and swiftly, tend to earn way more salary than employees who, in quotes, are perceived as loyal. People sometimes take advantage of loyal people. I'll say that again, and I'll say it slowly. It is not fair, it is not good, but a lot of times, people take advantage of loyal people. Next, another key opportunity, benefit of job hopping around is what? Opportunity to learn new skills and technology. I'll use myself as an example. I have worked in 10 companies in 10 industries. I'll say it again, slowly. I have worked in 10 companies in 10 industries. Now, if you think I know HR, this is also part of the reason. Because there are peculiarities to HR in different industries, in different sectors. If you have only worked in maybe 1 or 2 organizations, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, I doubt if you can know HR more than me. Why? The way you will run HR in the electricity sector, and then in the oil and gas, and then in the manufacturing, these 3 areas, for example, will confer certain knowledge on you that you would not have had if you had only stayed in only one of any of these 3. You are forced to what? Learn new skills. One of the things that happens to people who job up a lot is that you don't have historical data to say, remember what I did 1 year ago, remember what I did 5 years ago. So you must always be currently good. You must always be what? Currently good. Another benefit of a professional that changes jobs frequently is that they are able to adapt easily. This may look counterintuitive that, oh, you are moving so swiftly, but any organization you go to, you need to what? You need to settle in quickly. That process of settling in is unsettling in itself. But if you are able to, you will have worked with, take myself as an example, I've worked with Igbos, Hausas, Kanuris, Fulanis, Ibibios, Irobos, name it, Ijebus, Calabar, name it. We've seen it all. And we'll keep what? Seeing it. That makes you to be able to what? Adapt. You've worked with Christian, Muslim, Deeper Life, SU, Pentecostal, Catholic, name it. You are able to adapt. But if you are just being in one place, maybe it's just one culture, one type of exposure, it may be good, but you know very little else. And you'll be thinking from a unidirectional way instead of multidimensional way. And it's not your fault. There's nothing, it's because of your exposure. Job hopping increases what? Your exposure. Job hopping also increases your skill set. You can be somewhere, for example, and maybe you are not good with, this is just a random example, Excel. Your line manager may be able to cope, but you can't change jobs 2-3 times. They will call you out on your Excel in one of the places you are moving to. Or maybe you are not very good. Another random simple example with PowerPoint, they will call you out. In other words, what the skill set they value in company A may not be valued in company B or in company C, as the case may be. So as you are moving from company to company, organization to organization, industry to industry, it will be forcing you not only to learn new skills and technology, but you will also need to be more proficient. You know, take HR software, for example. I know some of us, a lot of us are HR people, others are not. But so you will see some people, they've probably not worked with any HR software. Meanwhile, someone who have job up, like someone like me, I've used Sage, I've used Microsoft Dynamics. Why? Most of the time, by the time I change organization, they are using a different ERP, for example. Now, your appreciation and understanding of ERP, when you have worked in 5 places that use 5 different ERP, will be different from somebody who has been in one place and they've used only one ERP. Now, you may be prolific, you may be good, and that is also good on its own. You are also exposed to what? Different industries. You are exposed to different cultures. Certain industries, for example, have more blue-collar workers than white-collar workers. And there are dynamics working with these different categories of people. Still speaking to job benefit of job hopping, I'd like to bring my friend back. Paul, can you run us through benefits of job hopping?
Okay, some benefits like you've seen on the screen is the fact that your career will be accelerated within time. You will be from lower level to middle level to top level management to C-suite or whatever you want to move on to easily. So job hopping can fast track your career by exposing you to different industries. Like he said, working with so many industries in terms of your experience is very important, even regardless if you are HR or not. Also, I've worked with industries across real estate, insurance, financial technology, and I can tell you that my experience in insurance and my experience in financial technology is different. It's very, very wide. In financial technology, there are some automation we've been able to do for employees, regardless of using all the software, HR software of Seamless. No, we created our own because that is our atmosphere. That is what we do, technology. So accelerating your career growth, job hopping is one of the tools to make sure that you are moving. You are not stagnant. You are not hostile. You are not in one place. So different industries, companies, roles. And for me, in person, I would want to move to, I've done insurance, I've done real estate, I've done manufacturing, I've done financial technology. I would now want to, transcend to, let's say, the banking industry. That is where I would want to move on to accelerate my career. Then from there, and I can say I want to move to oil and gas. I want to move to marine, and so on like that. So job hopping can help to improve or accelerate your career. Also, better pay and benefits. You see, one of the things that we've seen over the years why people want to move in the industrial era, however, is because of better pay and benefits. In the new normal, is because of culture, engagement, and we can also say nearness to the person's house. So better pay, changing jobs can increase your earning potentially and improve your benefit package, especially in industries with high demand or skills. So what are we saying here? We're saying here that when you receive an offer letter from another organization, what you have in your offer would be, let's say, 50 to 200% of your current pay. However, when you stay on that same job, you cannot have that percentage. This week, we completed our salary increase and we did some percentage. When you job up, it's very different. You can have from 50. So let's say if your annual gross is 6 million per year, 50% of 6 million annual gross is 3 million. So that's 9 million annual gross. So staying in that organization, you won't get such. In fact, following the cadre, the promotion step, you might just have, let's say, from officer 1 to officer 2, from executive 1 to executive 5, from executive to senior executive, from BO to senior BO. The difference are just, let's say, 2 million, 1.5 million, thereabouts. But when you move from one job to the other, there are so many perks to it. You see perks like profit sharing, promotion bonus, end of the year bonus, and so on within other organizations. So when you move within jobs, you see other perks, and it's very, very, very important for you to compare and contrast what you currently have in your current organization and the organization you're about to move on to. So when you compare and contrast, you see the difference. You see, are you making the right decision to move from this job to another? So that's why we say better pay and benefits is part of the reasons why, part of the benefits of moving from one job to the other. Broadband network. We are not talking about MTN here. We are talking about networking. We are talking about meeting people. The HR mentorship is one of the examples. You can see that we've been able to meet new people every now and then, interact with new people within the different groups we've been able to be in. People has come in and share experiences of what they have. In fact, if you go on the same mentorship group and you said, I need this, you see people willing to assist, willing to advise. So meeting new people from one organization to another is important. So once I leave organization A to organization B, I'll meet different people with different diverse knowledge of what they are going to impact. The skills, the knowledge, the acquisition, the experience of my previous boss is different from my current boss because of how people they've been able to work with also. So when you move from one job to the other, you have a broadband network. In fact, you know HR in XYZ, you know HR in JBL, you know HR in AWY, different people that when you need their help, they can easily connect you. And lastly, increase skills. Like I said, I use the difference of my experience in an insurance industry to a financial technology. Then my Excel skill was minimal. Now in financial technology, my skill, believe you me, is an expert because of what they do in that organization, because of the way they do things, because they would want to automate so many things within their system, within their organization. So moving from one job to the other will give you new skill sets, or can also be reversed. So when we are talking about or can also be reversed, is the fact that you need to also look at where you are going to. And that's why we say that when you are scheduled for an interview, there are questions you must ask the interviewer based on you moving from that job to the other. Other ways is for you to reach out to people who are within that organization on LinkedIn to ask them, what is the situation of this organization? What can I know? What are the benefits? What is the culture of your organization? Once you have a relative feedback correlating with what everybody has discussed to you, that means you're going to a right place. So job hunting will always increase your skills in terms of HR, call it whatever career you are on, would always, because it's quite different.
Thank you so much, Paul. So we'll move quickly. It's not all rosy and convenient when you job hunt. I recall telling you when we started this program that there are instances where my CV has gotten to certain quarters and that was the end of the road. I was not even called for an interview or for an assessment. Why? It was clear that this guy doesn't stay too long anywhere. As an organization, some executive value longevity, they value tenure, they value the capacity to stay permanently or to stay for a long while. Sometimes I joke and say, work is not marriage. It is marriage that I know that it is till death do us part. You know, let me also say here at this intersection that I may not be able to commit to you for 10, 20 years. I wish I could, but I can commit one thing to you, that if I spend 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years with you, I am going to give you value for your time. You are going to get far more than you invest in me, which for me is very, very important. Remember, an adage says that 20 boys cannot play for 20 years. Now, part of the drawbacks, challenges of fringe benefits is that you get to start all over again. That means you may not, for example, have as much vacation time as you may want. I'll give you an example with these fringe benefits. Most organizations have packages like if you work for 5 years or 10 years, when you are resigning or exiting, you get a robust final entitlement. But if you job up, you move 2 years, move 3 years, move 1 year, when you leave, it's just your salary that you get till your last day. You are hardly not in a position to get payoffs, some form of gratuity, some form of long service compensation or payout as a result of. So you lose those kind of job benefits. Switching just multiple times for short-term reasons can result in too many wasted years. You know, there'll be regrets. You will enter one chance. Let me say it that we have entered one chance 2, 3, 4 times. Even myself, you know, sometimes you will jump up and you will realize, even though you try to do your due diligence, you know, things are not always greener on the other side. Sometimes you will realize you move from fry pan to firewood. I'm not saying fire, to firewood, so that you know the quality and intensity of the fire you will enter. The third point, I'd already alluded to that earlier today, and when we started this segment, there can be a stigma, okay? This could be seen as a red flag, as employers may worry. Employers may worry about your loyalty. Now, loyalty is not the same thing as duration. Loyalty means, to me, that when you are with the organization, whether it is for 1 day or 100 years, you give your best. Loyalty does not mean continuity, but many organizations and executives think, and I don't becloud them for their thinking. They have every right to include that in their definition of loyalty. You know, sometimes I joke that some people are not loyal, they are stranded. Okay, some people are not loyal, they are what? Stranded. Someone who is committed to organization for the longer must be attractive to third-party organizations. There are some people, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, nobody will enter their DM or enter their LinkedIn profile to say, come and work for us. So sometimes I've changed jobs. I wasn't looking for a job, but you get calls, they will show you offer, show you, you know, purpose, show you insights, and so on and so forth. And sometimes it can be tempting, no matter how focused you are. It reminds me of something what a former governor of Lagos, Raji Fashola, said, and I will quote him. He said, may your loyalty not be tested. You know, some of the people that are claiming forming loyal today, just give them ×4 of their current salary. You will see that they will up like no man's business. But that stigma is there. I must say it. You will miss many job opportunities because you've not been loyal. If you had stayed in one job for, say, 5 years or 10 years, some jobs you will be able to get it. But it's okay. We are just putting this out there so that if you decide to toe the line of job hopping, or you have already upped job many times, it will be, just know that it's okay, that some organizations will not want you, some executive will not want you, and there is little or nothing you can do about it. However, if you are so competent, they've tried 2, 3, 4 people, they may still come back to you. But don't be angry, don't be upset. It's your fundamental employee rights to change jobs as often as you like, but it's also the fundamental employer right to say this is the kind of employees we want. We want employees that can do 4 or 5 years at the minimum. Let me say this on a lighter note, but relative to tonight's conversation. I've seen employees who stayed for 10 years, for example, with a particular organization. Eventually, they change jobs, and 6 months after the job they changed, they left. In other words, it doesn't mean that because you have stayed for long in your previous employment, it doesn't mean that in your next employment you will stay long. There is no correlation between how long you stayed in your last job and how long you stayed in your current job. Your last job might have provided certain enabling environment. So your last job, you might have stayed long in your last job, not because you like the job, maybe because of a family circumstance. Maybe your wife, your husband, your children, the place is close to the school of your children. In the mind of the organization, you are loyal. In the mind of the organization, they are retaining you. No, you are just waiting for junior to finish secondary school. So the moment that is accomplished, achieved, and then you move to another organization, you may take job in 1 year and they will say, but she spent 6 years somewhere. No, you are waiting for junior to finish. Okay, on a lighter note. Again, another drawback of job hopping sometimes is less flexibility and autonomy. You know, when you change job, one of the things is you will not be able to go on leave quickly. You will begin to count your confirmation again. There are some organizations, why seniority matters, tenure also matters. They can tell you that you won't be eligible, for example, for study leave if you've not done 4 years. Some of us will probably never be able to go for study leave. Why? It's not easy for us to be patient enough to attain 4 years in such kind of organization to be able to enjoy that kind of benefit. Okay, Paul, I know you want to add a few things with respect to challenges of job hopping. This is your time. Please hop in to the conversation.
Okay, the challenges of job hopping, yes, like we say, we've talked about the characteristics, we've talked about the advantages. Also, there are disadvantages to job hopping, and Mr. Yemi has laid emphasis to majority of them, but I'm just going to pinpoint on some other points of challenges of job hopping. So one is frequent adjustment period. So job hopping can lead to rapid change in work, culture, company process, and job responsibility, making it challenging to adapt and to settle in. So like we've been saying, when you move from one organization to another, they have different culture. They have different standard of procedures. They have different responsibilities. They have different challenges. And we must always understand this organization. Recall that I said, when you are job hopping, when you are moving, when you've made sure that, look, you cannot continue like this. You've tried as much as possible to map up your exit, and you are at the point of interview. Please, it's very, very critical for you to understand that organization. You can have conversation with 20 people working in that organization. You can have conversation with HR people in that organization. You can have conversation with finance people in that organization. You can have conversation with even the security of that organization. Because at a point whereby you move to that organization and you find out that even your previous organization is better than where you are currently going, there's problem. Huge one. Because you start mapping your exit again in that current job. And we call it flight risk. Now, one of the issues about this flight risk is the fact that when you look at the outsourcing function, you can skip through. But when it comes to in-house recruitment, you can't skip through. That's one of the basic things you must understand. So let's say a role is being outsourced to XYZ outsourcing company. They can look away the fact that you spend 6 months, you're spending 3 months, and still call you for an interview. Then you wrap up with your lies and you say, oh, the culture is bad. I'm just trying to find my way. Any other excuses you have. But in a standard setting, as an in-house recruiter, we flag it. In fact, once we pick such CV and it goes through the director, they will tell you, you don't know your job as a recruiter because you have a KPI. And one of the KPI of the HR department in a standard setting is minimal turnover. Is the benchmark to reduce turnover. In fact, if there is COVID, if there is jackpot, your major duty is to reduce turnover in an organization. And so when you bring a CV where such individual is just moving from one job to the other, the director will tell you, look, you don't know your job because this person has been moving. Can't you see the trajectory of this person moving from one job to the other? So you need to fix this. Now, others would say, okay, based on your experience, you've just had that 6 months experience in in financial technology. Now you want to move from financial technology to, let's say, insurance. Some would say you do not have insurance background, and you will see some job description telling you that, stating clearly that you must have a background in technology, you must have a background with a financial institution, you must have a background. It's because once you join the organization, they don't want to start explaining some certain things to you. So you must be everly ready, and you must make your research very, very well. Over to you, Mr. Yemi. I think let's let's just continue from there. So other challenges to job hunting are job instability. So when your career moves from one resume, then it looks erratic, then leading to employer perceiving you to be unreliable and risky, like I said. So that's just the major motive. So if you come in within an interview and you're trying to explain to the interviewer to the fact that the reason why you want this job is because, okay, it's aligned with your career, and you try to make all justification. As far as you're moving, they would circle the years. In fact, we circle the years and we interpret it: spent 2 years, spent 6 years in this organization, spent 4 months within this organization. As far as within the trends that we've seen, you're just moving within 1 year, 6 months, a year, 6 months, then we consider it as you're unstable on the job, and taking you in that organization means that there's high tendency that you're going to leave our organization in the next 6 months, thereby causing the need to start another recruitment process, which is very, very, very wide. And you must agree with me, recruitment process is always wide. And lastly is building a reputation. So changing jobs too often can prevent you from building a good reputation and lasting relationship with employers, leaving you with fewer chances for career advancement. So everybody has preview you to be a job offer. So you move from one place to another. So and at every point in time, they check your resume, they check your LinkedIn profile, they find you not being able to, for us to interact with. So they will just want to move on with another candidate. As far as they've seen that you're always moving, there must be a reason, there must be a need for you to keep on moving. They don't want to know about it because they know that it will be at a flight risk to their own organization. So they want to keep good reputation within the organization and lasting relationship with the employers. So because they know that employees, they talk, they share ideas, and you can be of a bad energy to employees that are within their organization. You might come into that organization and say, look, I'm not going to spend more than 6 months. Once it's 6 months, I'm leaving here. And such employees also, they take it up. They'll say, oh, that's fantastic. Okay, I'll do that also. I'll join you. So all these things, the organization will want to keep their reputation. They want to avoid such individual in their organization. Hence, to keep lasting relationship, they will avoid such employee. And even if they have fewer opportunities or fewer people within the recruitment process, they will go ahead, regardless of how talented you are, regardless of how you've been able to improve yourself on the job. Okay, Olabode, you have a question. Please go ahead. Olabode, I can see your hand. Kindly unmute your mic. You're muted. Just go on with your question. Let's just take in question before we resolve some technical glitches. Okay, let me go to the chat box. Let's see what we have in the chat box.
So hello, Paul, what's the next phase?
Yes, it's your own turn, so you can move on, sir.
All right. In case it happens again, just continue. Okay. Thank you. All right. So advantage of staying for an extended period. Okay. That's what we'll be looking at next. You know, sometimes when you also stay too long, you will experience what just happened to me. Okay. It will look like you are frozen out of the system or of the location. Now, staying put refers to a pattern of remaining with the same employer for an extended period, often throughout a significant portion of one's career. Those who adopt this approach are committed to building a long-term relationship with a single company, and they value the stability and loyalty of the what? Of the employee. Okay, and there are certain benefits which are quite numerous, you know, and we'll be looking at it. Individuals who stay loyal to their current employees for years sometimes even have spent their entire careers there. Now, some of us, our fathers, mothers, where they spent 35 years with UAC, Liver Brothers, federal government, state government, local government, which is beautiful. It helps in you understanding and accumulating institutional knowledge. Long-term employees develop a deep understanding of the company's culture, processes, values, making them valuable assets. You know, you will see people who are literally the SOP. They understand the scope of work fully. They will tell you why they changed from option 1 to option 2, from option 2 to option 3. They are like a literal Bible, okay? They also tend to enjoy career progression within the same organization, you know, taking on increased responsibility over time. So typically they will join from a junior rank, entry-level rank, and grow through the ranks to get to more senior or advanced level. They also tend to build strong relationships with colleagues, which fosters strong professional bond with the colleagues, supervisors, even getting almost personal. You know, they will know the spouses, the children, they will have celebrated birthday, burial, grief together, they rejoice together, and so on and so forth. And all of these things have a way. They have a way of enriching people's careers. Okay, now let's look at some benefits of staying put. Paul, benefit of staying put.
Okay, we've mentioned just a few here. So one of them is job security. Why do we say job security? We are saying that when you stay within an organization, there's high tendency that your job is secured. What do we mean by job security? We mean that in every situation, in a situation of whereby there are unforeseen circumstances, for example, we take a case study of COVID-19 pandemic. One of the tools that some organizations made use of is the longevity of employees in that organization. So let's take, for instance, you join an organization during the pandemic, or let's say before the pandemic. That means 6 months into the pandemic. There's likelihood that you are going to be yanked off just to make sure that the organization is able to withhold their capacity in terms of finance and other variables. So they look at staff who has been within the organization, and like Mr. Yemi terms them, loyal staff. So they believe they cannot go. So they want to compensate them by letting them stay put on that road, and so on. So they tend to increase job satisfaction, helping to reduce stress. So when you stay within that same job, you understand the job role, you understand the organization, you understand the procedures at which you move from one department to the other. You understand the procedures that finance will interface HR will interface the other. Unlike you joining a new organization, is different. You start learning. In fact, at a point whereby you join a new organization, you look like a newborn baby that you do not know anything. Maybe you're an HR professional, you do not know anything about HR, because they'll start telling you, okay, this is what you do next. Once you want to take this one, you move to this place. So what we are saying is the fact that when you stay longer on the job, you tend to derive satisfaction, regardless of if other certain factors are implemented within such organization. Next is mentorship opportunity. So staying with your employer allows you to build long-lasting relationship and benefit from mentorship and training opportunities from experienced colleagues. One of the things I benefited for staying long was the fact that when we were trying to do what we call our graduate training program, of course, there was an individual who was in charge of it. Well, because of my boss was mentoring me at that point in time, and she gave me the opportunity to undo the graduate training process of the whole organization. It was an eye-opener for me in terms of the graduate training process recruitment, because it was very wide. At some point, I got tired because it was strenuous. But all of a sudden, I was understanding some key importance of recruitment in a structured organization. The graduate training process, to the training school, to the graduate training, you rotate them through other departments in the organization. So those are the benefits by creating long-lasting relationship. In fact, when I pick up my phone and I call this same boss, we talk as if we are age mates, because of the long-lasting relationship we've been able to create within the organization, within that department. And it's not about gender this time around. It's about you understanding the person. And they say respect is reciprocal. So you give them the due respect they needed, as far as they are high in terms of career and age above you. So when you subject yourself to these people, they tend to help you. They tend to make sure that you keep improving, you keep learning. In fact, they tell you, look, this is what you need to learn. This is what you need to know. Okay, you've understudied learning and development. You've understudied recruitment. This is the next. Compensation and benefit is the next you need to know. They'll put you through a track. So that's why I said it's not about gender now. It's about you understanding, because my own boss was a female, and it was so interactive. It was engaging within that few short period of time. Also, better collaboration and teamwork. We say teamwork to be one of the objectives of the organization to reach the organizational goals. Without teamwork, nothing is established. No rapport is established. And according to Mary Parker Follett, she said, the act of getting things done is through people, is through humans, is through co-workers. You cannot do these things on your own. So staying longer in that job, staying longer in that organization will help you to understand different people from different ethnic background, from different understanding of life. You tend to meet new people also. There was one time I joined the organization, and I was always passing through this route. And I'm this kind of a person, I don't talk much in the organization, especially, in fact, everybody don't talk much, especially once they join the organization. So I was passing a different route that cost me about 1,000 naira to get home. So one day I sat down and I was talking to one person. I said, look, I've been passing through this route. Do you know anybody passing through this route that can guide me on the better way to, to find a way to get home easily? And from there, I started knowing people, oh, this person drives through that route. By that means, I was able to reduce my cost of transportation. Call it cheapish. That's just it. By collaborating with people. So you need to meet people, you need to discuss, you need to interact with people. It's quite important. And also increase work-life balance. What do we say? This is not about, let's say, remote work or hybrid work. No, we are talking about equilibrium here. when you are staying put in an organization, you know the mood, you know the closing hour, you know the time whereby your boss will want to ask you for something. You know everybody. Regardless, when you join a new organization, you don't know their working mode. So you might be sleeping by nature and you just get a call from your boss. You need to do this thing. So being proactive also can also help. But when you stay within that same job, then believe you me, you know where to do the right set of things. You know when to do your job. You know when to do other things that doesn't even concern the job. For some organization will work through the weekends because that is just their work mode, or let's say because they have so many workload within that same organization. So it's very, very important to stick with jobs and having good work performance, and this can enable us to negotiate other terms of employment also. Thank you.
All right, so we'll take a quick recap at disadvantages of staying put. You know, we mentioned familiarity. We mentioned the fact that it will offer stability, but is that same stability that typically ends up with what? Being over familiarity. Now, let me just run us through a few disadvantages. We have alluded to this. Stagnation is very, very key. Many times in this part of the world, employees may find themselves, one, in their comfort zone. Because they're in their comfort zone, they don't aspire to learn more. They don't stretch themselves. So if you see, it's almost impossible to see a job offer that is not relatively heavily certificated. They are almost always at the frontier, the cutting edge of the information, certification, educational accomplishments required for their job, because they know that for them to be attractive to the next employer, they need to be out there. But if you are in the same place, you've been there for 10 years, 15 years, 6 years, so to speak, they are relying on your skills, your capabilities, typically historical, not necessarily future-looking capabilities. Now, because you may not have done, aspired to acquire additional certifications, educational attainments, external trainings, and the likes, you are in your comfort zone, then suddenly there will be a shift in the industry or in the organization. What happens? You no longer look attractive. They may not discard you, they may not throw you away, but it now means that there will be roles above your cadre, and they'll be bringing people from outside who they would think are more attractive and more suitable, have more competencies. They may be younger than you. They may not necessarily have the number of years of experience, but the quality they will bring on board. So this can really lead to stagnation. I think I can see Paul Okeshino's hand there. Paul, quickly.
Yes, so for stagnation is because when organizations have done what we call succession planning, they've been able to see that you don't have some certain skills because you'll be stagnant. You feel so comfortable. You feel they can't yank you off. You feel you are doing the needful. You are meeting your performance rating. But there are some certain things you are not doing. For example, the certification. For example, the understanding of, let's say, some soft skill to just improve yourself on. And once they see these things, they feel you are not the next successor to this person. They will have to bring somebody from outside. And when you now do your research, you find out that this person is just having 1 year experience higher than you. And when you look again, you see that, oh, this person has PHIR, this person has CIPM. So these are the reasons that if you stay put within an organization, make sure that you make use of learning and development. You keep on learning in that same organization to improve yourself.
Thank you so much. Don't limit yourself to the requirements of your job in your organization. Look at the requirements of your job in your industry and in other industries, so that way you will not be caught napping. Another disadvantage of staying put for an extended period of time in an organization may be resistance to change. Long-term employees may become set in their ways and resistant to change, especially if they have become accustomed to a specific work environment and processes for a long period of time. I remember telling you that I once worked in a place for 2 years, and in a period of 2 years, I had 3 MDs in a space of. Now, one good thing is that I had extremely good relationship with all the 3 MDs. Why? After the first MD exited and the second MD came, most of the old staff found it very difficult to adjust to the new MD, who was the second MD. Why? They brought the MD from outside. But because I am agile, fresh, I was able to quickly bond, engage with him. By the time the second MD also left for one reason or the other, and the third MD came in, I was able to quickly adapt. The people who had been in the organization for 10 years, 15 years, they'll be like, we don't even know the kind of hand this new person. But because even me, I'm new, I can relate with a new person. I know that this person wants to succeed. This person will be more interested in not what you have done over the last 15 years, is what you can do now to make him shine now, to make him excel now, and also into the future. Another challenge with extended stay in an organization maybe you may be limited to new experiences. Lack of exposure to diverse experience can restrict the development of a well-rounded skills set and prevent individuals from exploring new career paths. It may lead, some of these things, it doesn't mean that it is automatic that once you are staying too long in a place, that all of these things must happen to you, or some of these things must happen to you, but may happen. And there are things you can do to ensure you don't experience this thing if you are staying put in an organization, okay? Again, compensation and benefits may play too. I like the way Paul put it, that when you are coming from outside, possibility exists that you may get between 50% to 200% salary increase. That is almost impossible for an employee who is already in the organization. Typically, if you are not careful, you'll be getting salary increments around 15%, 10%, 20%, and it will even be because of things like COLA, and not because of your performance or because they want to increase or enhance your pay package. If you are not careful too, when you are staying put for an extended period of time, you may lose your competitive edge. Employees who remain with the same company for many years may miss out on latest industry trends and best practice because you are only operating along your comfort zone, the organization's comfort zone, the organization's processes, the organization's technology, and things might have changed in the industry or generally. And last but not the least, skill relevance, okay? When you join an organization, there are certain skill sets you bring in. That same skill set may not be enough for the future. But because you are a star when you came in, you may continue to leverage on past historical glory. So you must ensure that you don't become settled in your ways. Okay? Paul, you want to say a few things here around
just to add some other things is the fact that when you stay too much, your growth will be stagnant. And we've said these things so many times. I, for one, in my previous job, I was learning so many things. When I got hold of it, I dust my CV. We call it dust. You dust your CV. That means you are ready to run. So once you dust your CV, that means you've been able to inculcate some other things you do not know about the job before, but you have it now. Go back, dust your CV, rewrite your CV yourself, start applying. The organization that matches these skills will call for you. Once they call for you, if you're successful, and one thing about interviews, you need to know how to communicate. Once you do all this, they bring you in. Once you join that organization at that stage, you open your eye again. By opening your eye, you are seeing the things that are moving. Now, you also need to learn some certain things in that current organization because they have their own procedure. When you learn it also, you see it again, revamp your CV, you dust it. For example, for me, I'm not even applying for jobs because I'm currently running my master program. For example, so once I get a master certificate, that is another tool to move. That will be another improvement that an employer would see. Oh, this person has a master certificate in industrial relation. Call him, bring him in. Let's see what he has to say. So staying put, you won't see all these things. You will just be seeing, if it's one cabinet, you wake up early in the morning and you get to work. That's the same cabinet you'll be seeing every day. When you open the door, you greet the cabinet, you sit down, you continue your job. Same thing. You keep on repeating the same process every now and then. And the new normal of work is moving far in a vast space. I can tell you that even we are not using what we call PowerPoint presentation. We use Tableau, Power BI to do presentation, to do dashboard, because everything is moving by development, by economic instances, by technology. So we need to be aware of these things, not to stay too long on the job. Also, office politics and conflict. Very important. You can either play it, like he said when they were changing the GMD, he was going to just form a rapport. You can call it whatever you want to call it. Is to make sure that this person needs to understand you, needs to understand the way you do your things. So long-term employment leaves a higher potential of having conflict and co-workers and managers. So when you do not even play the politics now, there will be conflict. And when there's conflict, you term the environment toxic because some certain decision favors some others than you. So when you see that trajectory, then they are telling you to move. So you need to find a way to make sure that you've improved yourself, because you cannot just move just like that. There are some things you have to put into play before you move. For example, HR analytics has been everywhere. Do you have it? No, because you have been stagnant on that job, not to understand what we call HR analytics. Now, the new employer is telling you, do you have HR analytics? You are saying no. All you just know is just the normal, traditional way of recruitment, traditional way of compensation and benefits. Then you are not improving yourself at any point in time. Then you remain stagnant. Also, reduce adaptability. Like he said, it was able to adapt to different set of bosses, different set of people, different set of industry. When you join them, you look at it. You do not just jump. When you join an environment, a new environment, you understudy the environment. You don't. Okay, let's say you are the HR manager. The first day you are implementing policy. What policy are you implementing? You study the politics in that environment. You study the culture. You study what they've been able to do. You inculcate it in your own ideas and improve on yourself. And lastly, salary stagnation, also which we've been saying since the beginning of this presentation. You won't be paid well. There's what we call wage indexation. That is the only thing an organization will give you. That is the COLA. And within now, it's not all the organizations that are doing COLA, because they will have to work with the finance department and the operation department. Operational department will have to increase the cost of services, the cost of products. Finance department will have to check their revenue, their input and output in terms of money. Would this money be able to improve this salary? No. Stagnation. You are always there. The higher increment you can have is 10%, 5%, 20%. It cannot be more than that. But once you leave, believe you me, you get 50 to 200% in terms of salary.
Thank you so much, Paul, as we begin to see how we can post home. So let's look at proactive and strategic approach to take when you are job hopping. In other words, so that you are not job hopping randomly or aimlessly. Oh, I think there's benefit to job hopping. I can get 50%. Let me just take the next available job. No, it's not like that. First and foremost, we need to go back to the fundamentals, to the basic. You must have your own set clear goals. Let me give you an example. When I started my job, my career, I wanted to understand HR end to end. Two options were open to me. Option one, get a good opportunity in a consulting firm. If you are in a consulting firm, what happens to you is that you will be consulting across industries and organizations. You can stay in that consulting firm for as long as you want. So while you are in that organization, you will get exposure to multiple organizations and companies. Guess what? I could not join a consulting firm. Why? It's my own undoing. I got a second-class loan. So the KPMGs of this world, the PwCs of this world, at that time, were not taking tutu. That closed that window for me. What was the other option? Let me move through as many organizations and industries as possible. That was why I took that route. Now, if I want and if they want, I can go as an experienced hire to a consulting firm. I'm saying I am not job hopping because others are job hopping. I had a clear intention. Now, you will notice, for example, I have never worked in the same industry twice. Why? My career goal is to move and diversify my exposure, my quality, and the extent of my competence and dexterity across industry. Is deliberate. I've gotten opportunities to go back to some of the industries. I turn them down politely. Why? My career goals is what is guiding me. So you need to have a career goal. When you have a career goal, a vision, a map, direction, it is what will determine what you will say yes to or what you will say no to. Let me say this here. I've changed jobs multiple times, at least you are sure of 10. 2 to 3 times I've taken a pay cut. My current role now, I took a 40% pay cut, my current role. Why? It exposed me to manufacturing, which I had never worked in before. We together. Now, you can't use my formula for your own career template. It is my own career goals that has been clearly set that I'm working with. It may change over time, it may evolve, but some of us need to go again to our career goals. If we want to adjust it, it's okay to adjust it. It's not cast in stone. We've said this, I won't dwell on it. Stay adaptable, okay? Stay adaptable is very, very important. Network effectively. Look, it's one thing, for example, to be a member of CIPM, is another thing to be active. It's another thing to be attending meetings, attending functions. When you see some of us, I still attended Hangouts today before coming home to join the first webinar and this current webinar. It's not because it's convenient. There is no Hangout I attend or physical training that I don't become friends with 2, 3, 4 more people. It will always come in handy with respect to opportunities. You will not know when somebody will put a word on your behalf, mention an opportunity. Some people talk to you when they see you face-to-face versus them calling you and talking to you on phone. Make sure that you are leveraging skills that are what? Transferable. Make sure that you are documenting the kind of competencies you have. Just like we have a skill catalog or a competency framework for an organization, you need to have like a skill inventory for yourself. Okay, you need to have like a competency framework for yourself. What are the skills you have right now that you have acquired? Some of the skills, you may not even place a premium on it yourself. There may be organizations, institutions who will really look at it. When you are also thinking about job hopping, it's important that you evaluate company culture. Some of us are laid back. Would we be a good fit in a fast-paced environment? Some of us are fast-paced in orientation and disposition. Would we be a good fit in a laid-back environment? There's nothing wrong in being fast-paced. There's nothing wrong in being laid back. But you need to align with organizational culture that best fits and will be able to bring out what the best in your competency. Okay, some people used to joke, back then, they would they'll say, and this is the argument back then, why some people say Ronaldo was better than Messi. This is not a football conversation we are talking about. They will tell you that Ronaldo has been to different leagues and excelled, that Messi can only thrive in the Barca setup. In other words, some people who stay long in a place, it will look like it's only one context that you can flourish. If you move from place to place, like Ronaldo, and you are still highest goal scorer, you still flourish, then we can say you are good. Okay. Fortunately, Messi has gone on to PSG and now at MLS to also prove that they can excel and thrive anywhere. I'd like to hand over to Paul to share additional insights as to how you can excel in job hopping. Paul, over to you.
Be prepared. So it's very important for you to be prepared. What do we mean by preparation? At the point whereby you want to map up your exits, it's very important to understand the things you've learned. Like I said, look at the skills, the gap. Look at the companies you'd like to work with. Look at another part of the HR career you would want to move into. And that's on your CV, we call it career summary, career objective. When you're trying to move to another career, you say career objective. Once you still want to be in that career, we say career summary. By career summary, you're going to summarize your career. You've done admin, I've done learning and development, I've done in so organization, in XYZ organization. So being prepared is very important. You don't just jump. You make sure that certain things are there. Certification is there. Masters is there. Then you know that you are not going to repeat some roles, because you see so many people, XYZ company, HR officer, XYZ company again, HR officer, another organization, HR officer. There's no like team lead. There's nothing like HR assistant, HR manager. It's because you've not been able to set those goals. You've not been able to cover the gaps, because within your interview, they ask, do you know performance management? No, but I can learn on the job. That means they'll still put you on that same cadre you've been within all your life. Then in the next 5 years, all you'll be doing is from assistant to assistant recruitment to assistant this one, so you keep on assisting. So you need to map up the things you need to know. The organization you would like to work with, you need to write it down. Okay, KPMG is advertising. That is the organization. Advisory. Let me apply. PwC is advertising. That's the same organization I want to. Let me apply. Although you know that it's very hard to get in those places. So I'm just giving as an example. So you need to be prepared that, look, it is time to leave. And I, for one, once I use 1 year, 6 months, if you check my career on LinkedIn, 1 year, 6 months, I'm out. Another 2 years, I'm out. Now, currently, I don't have some certain things, so I need to work on them, which will make you stay put and keep on learning other things while you are gathering the certificate. Because when you apply for those higher roles, you won't be called, because they will tell you, you might be good. They will tell you blatantly, you might be good, but you don't have this certificate. So stay there. Developing transferable skills. We've said this all sorts, that you need to develop range of skills, not only in HR. You can also understand emotional intelligence. You can also understand how to interact with people. You can also understand even the finance part of HR. So make sure that you keep on learning. Make the right impression. Very important. So we've seen so many people during interview. Why do you want to leave your current job? This is my current job. They want to kill me. No, I can't. No, I can't keep on. It's very toxic. That is bad. Very, very bad. There's some subtle way you can tell the interviewer that you are changing this place because of the environment of the job. Not that you call the whole organization XYZ and you bring it to their own organization. No. Very toxic. My manager is a bad person. It means that even if you find such organization you are trying to enter and you find it that they are toxic, when you go to another place, you spoil the organization. Even there's what we call business to business in sales. They won't want to do business with that organization. You are spoiling the image of that organization. So when they ask you, why do you want to leave the job? Well, I found myself in this environment just by a shock. I was thinking it's going to improve me. But however, I would want to change the environment because of some certain things, not majorly benefits. By stating this, they will know where you are coming from. They will know what you really want within their organization. And lastly, always learn to build connection. So we've said this all. So I'll take it away from here to Mr. Yemi.
Thank you so much. As we coast home, all right. So when we say maximize opportunities while staying put in the same company, again, this is not, we are not debating about whether staying put or job opening is the best. What we have been doing so far is to shed, highlights and light on how to take advantage of wherever you find yourself so that you can optimize your career. That's the ultimate thing, to get fulfillment in your career. When you are staying put, in one organization, as soon as opportunities present, demonstrate loyalty to the company. Let the organization know that you are not stranded, that you are competitive. Let them know that you are staying even though you are getting opportunities. I'll give you one random example. I have a friend. Anytime he gets an offer elsewhere, he's not going to take it, but he will show the offer to the relevant stakeholders. You know what that does? They will say, oh, initially they will take maybe also. You say, no, I'm staying put. What is he showing them? He's showing them that I'm attractive. Typically, by the time he gets to the next promotion window or something, what happens is they push him up as much as possible. Why? They have a gut feeling that if they don't take care of this guy, they can lose him. Please, don't ever let your organization think you are with them because you are stranded. Let them know that you are with them because you choose to, in spite of the opportunities and attractions out there. But let them know. Why? If you don't let them know, they will take you for granted. That's human nature. Okay. So it is your job to be reinventing yourself in your organization. You refresh so that they don't take you for granted. Okay. So for example, I remember when I used to work in a particular organization, there's this colleague of ours, when she gets a new certification, she will send an email to relevant stakeholders, attach the thing and say, oh, dear leaders, just to let you know, I just accomplished so certification, just for your information. Thank you for organizational support. Guess what? When opportunities come, her name will always flash. Some people will say, oh, is she playing to the gallery? You are getting certification, nobody knows. Even HR doesn't know. Talk less of the managing director. Seek internal growth opportunities. Now, it's one thing to stay put in an organization. It's now another thing to stay put on a role. Change role. Look for ways to do job rotation, to redeploy, change geography, change something. Because when you are changing, you'll be building additional competencies, capabilities along different complementary skill sets. It's important. Don't just say, oh, we are doing the same thing for 10 years. Once you think you are in your comfort zone, look for the next stretch assignment. Sometimes you may still be on the same job, but you can collaborate. Maybe they are setting up a committee, volunteer. You see somebody is in a tight situation, offer help and support. Okay? Seek internal growth opportunities, explore. Build positive relationships with both people who are on ground like you, people who have stayed put for a while, and also new people. Now, don't be someone who is staying put, but you're always showing resentment to the new people. Please don't. Once new people come in, be like their body, welcome them, make them feel at home, eliminate this dichotomy of we and them. What will happen to you? You will still retain loyalty of old people and the new people, because you need their graces, permit me to use that expression, to forge ahead in the future. You don't know the next opportunity you will get internally or externally, whether it's an old person or a new person. Let me use one example. Like when we were in 200 level, okay, at the university, we had direct entry students. What did I notice? Almost all the direct entry students were together, while the old students who came in from 100 level were together. Guess what I did quickly? I quickly went to join them during registration. Oh, my name is Oluyemi Adeosun. I'm your colleague in 200 level. I've spent 1 year here. I started providing solutions. This is how to register. This is the course advisor. Let me take you here. Guess what? I became their go-to person. Till tomorrow, we are still great friends. Guess what? Most of the what do you call them? Direct entry students who are super brilliant. Why? They are done maybe OND or something. And so some of them even had more years of tertiary education than those of us in 200 level who had just 1 year coming from year one. Please, I'm trying to say something here. Build positive relationship, both with people who are old like you and are new. Warm up to them. It doesn't matter whether they are interns, they are NYSC, they are professionals. Don't show resentment. Ignore whether they are paying them more than you. Don't become bitter. Get better. Take initiative. This is very important. Take initiative. Again, we don't become complacent. You know, when we have stayed too long somewhere, we no longer are sometimes we are no longer motivated. We are no longer motivated to, you know, we think maybe the last 20 ideas you gave them, they rejected it. We now stop coming up with ideas. No, don't settle. Don't become redundant in the organization. You are there by choice. You are valuable. Continue to throw value. Continue to research. Talk to your colleagues in other organizations in the same. What are you guys doing? Borrow ideas, steal ideas, you know, come up with ideas. Take initiative. Okay, please, by all means, don't settle. My friend and colleague has said it extensively. Pursue continuous learning, whatever it is. Is it certifications? Is it higher education? Is it short courses? Is it free webinars? Please pursue. You see, when you see us on this platform, every weekend, at least consistently, Saturday, Sunday, dishing out training, it's not because we don't have family. It's not because we don't have Netflix accounts. It's not because we don't like football. Look at what we've done today. This is like going to 4 hours of continuous training. It is because the only way we can be better is if we equip ourselves. There is no way we continue to develop and deepen our competencies that we will not be able to attract more competitive salary. We will equip ourselves until we solve all problems on our way, until we break all barriers on our way, until we attract the kind of opportunities and resources we want. If you don't have a mentor, get one or get two, either physically, virtually, remotely, via books. If you have a mentor and it's a long time you taught base, I know 1 or 2 people on this call, you have a mentor, but you've not spoken to your mentor this year. Initiate a conversation. Ask them for lunch, okay? Get mentored. You too mentor people. So please, not that you're just getting mentor people over you. There are people you too should be mentoring. As you are gaining by being mentored, you also gain by mentoring. Just like people are gaining by you providing the mentor. So do the two. Your own mentor and your mentees. Do the two. It will also keep you fresh. It won't allow you to be stagnant. We can't overemphasize this. Build a strong personal brand. Some of us, our LinkedIn, nothing has changed. And this happens to people who stay put. You know, their current job description, their LinkedIn, if you check it, it was their job description since 6 years ago. You know, people are always changing. By default, when you go to a new organization, you will change it. Your JD will change. You too will be changing. Look for something to change. Look for new projects that you have handled in the last 1 year, in the last 6 months, to put on your LinkedIn. Refresh. Also, try and be active. There are different ways to be active, you know, maybe consistently, once a month, once a quarter, once a week. Put out your thoughts, share your opinion. You are not a subject matter expert because you've stayed in an organization, because you've stayed in a sector. Be dishing out relevant, useful tips. It doesn't have to be long and voluminous. Also, you know, contribute, respond, react. Build your strong personal brand. Show up. Some of us will say, come and teach a webinar, HR mentorship. You know, go answer. Meanwhile, you are so good that it's a way of pushing and promoting your brand. Just to mention on a lighter note, one of our colleagues on this platform did one webinar for us. In 1 week from the webinar, got 2 jobs. The guy shared the offer letters with me. The people who offered them jobs listening to the webinar, this same HR mentorship, what happened to them? They were good. They presented a webinar that further boosted their personal brand. So there are many, some of us here, maybe a church or something, they will invite you to come and speak. I'm shy. I don't have time. No. Build your personal brand. Put yourself out there. When opportunities reach out to you, take it. Okay? Again, communicate your career goals. I may be your friend and I don't know you are looking for a job. I can help you. You may be my friend. You also don't know that maybe my next level is to be a board member somewhere. How would you help me with a board membership or board opportunity if you don't know? Yes, it's okay. We talk about Chelsea. We talk about Arsenal. We talk about Jagaban. We talk about Emilokon, Peter Obi. Let's talk about our career goals. When you touch base with your friends, let them know this is the project I'm working on. These are my aspirations. Some of us are too humble to a fault. Stay informed and stay what? Engaged. I just spoke briefly around how to excel and explore while staying put in the same organization, while staying loyal, like some people will call it. Now, Paul, also share some insight with us on how to excel while staying put. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, so one of the features we have here, just to list a few, is the fact that you take ownership. And by taking ownership, it means that all your duties and responsibilities become known and reliable and dependable within team member. I work in an organization whereby we have different, let's just say different individual in the sub-function of HR. So it was more like a team. And we also have HRBP that interface with other business. We have learning and development, we have recruitment, we have operations, we have compensation and benefit, we have performance management. I was doing HR operations then. When I was doing HR operations, I only know of recruitment and HR operations. Those are the only two things I know in HR then. Then I started finding out that I'm not relevant. So when they call some certain people, they give them these jobs. Okay, do this, do that, and they'll get it done. They'll get it done, sorry. What am I doing wrong? I'm not taking ownership of some other responsibility within that department. Take, for example, recruitment does onboarding. From onboarding, once they are done with the onboarding, they give all the files, all the documents to HR operations to document. What did I do? I met my boss and I said, I want to take charge of the onboarding process. And she looked at me. I said, do you think you can do it? I said, yes. Then from there, we started discussing with the recruitment specialist. Okay, you start doing the onboarding templates. You do this, you do that. I was taking ownership of those jobs little by little. When I was tired of it, I dropped it. I went to learning and development also. Please come. Once we bring talent, I know that you put them on training. I want to know it. I want to know why we keep on training talent in the organization. I want to know why we need to separate key talent from talent in the organization. Then you start becoming a dependable member. Once you exit like this, once you said, this is my resignation, they say, hey, no, come, let's talk, let's discuss. It's because you've been able to take ownership. I was engaging with somebody and she told me that she's admin officer in the organization and she wants to transit to HR. And I said, look, it's very easy. Just meet up with your line manager and maybe the boss of HR. Tell them you would want to take responsibility of, let's say, a recruitment function. Can be outsourcing recruitment, can be recruitment of only executive in that organization. From there, you are taking responsibility. You are adding all these things to your CV. You are adding these things to your own understanding by taking ownership of these things. If you say it's not your job, you won't know it. If you say you don't want to know about it, it's gone. If you say it's not within my KPI, that's your problem. I don't want to, it's your own problem at the long run. Because we need to keep on understanding that you need to be a dependable member in your team, in your organization. Some people, they will resign and yet be going because they do little things. They've tried as much as possible not to take ownership of other duties. Ordinary admin will take leave. You'll be telling a subordinate, maybe you are an HR manager, you'll be telling a subordinate, no, you are going to do admin, don't disturb me. Take ownership of that admin. Understand how HR and admin interface, although I know it's quite, very huge. Understand it, engage it. Go back to your CV, tell them that during this period I achieved this logistics when the GMD was traveling to this place, to this place. It's because you take ownership of this role. Stay engaged, be curious. You see, curiosity would give you, is a means to, some people will say a dirty means. It's a lie. When you are curious, you want to know. Same way you are curious how water enter coconuts. That's the same curiosity everybody has in this whole world. So be curious. Why are people going for certification? Why is this man, I checked his CV, he's always doing this every now and then. Why? Be curious. Why is performance management not in our department? Why is admin going to finance in the new normal of work? So you need to be curious. By that, you'll be making different research about things that you do not know, things that they won't take you in tertiary institution, that you need to know on yourself. And like he said, develop meaningful relationship. I remember when Mr. Oluyemi came to the group and said they need new people to come in and share their, and I said, I can do this. And I said, let me share. I want to share my own. I don't want to do his topic. I'll share my own topic. And I shared my topic. And he was quite, insightful to, oh, this is a beautiful topic. Let's have you. Let's go on. And today he has decided to bring me in also to also be part of this topic, to also share more light. That is a relationship. If I tell Mr. Yemi that, Mr. Yemi, I need to move. To where? I just need to move. Anything you see, sir. He would find a solution to it. I will find a solution. And one of the things that he mentioned is the fact that when you have a mentor, when you are being mentored, it is your duty to also mentor some people. No man is an island of knowledge. When we understand these things, you know that this knowledge is transferable. All these things we are doing, all this topic we are always engaging people to understand these things. We are refreshing our memory. We are refreshing what we understand on this same job. When the board of director comes and says, why are you improving salary? Oh, you won't be stagnant. You won't be murmuring. Oh, based on the factors that we've seen nowadays, we've been able to see that the cost of living in the country, the floating of Naira, you start speaking all the old grammar just to prove your point within that same organization. So we must not find a way to say no. We must always say yes. We must always take ability to take all these things. Take it. In fact, like Emilio said, snatch it. You snatch it. Once you see recruitment, and recruitment is, I remember, I do not know compensation and benefits. When the individual that is handling compensation and benefits went on maternity leave, I went to my boss. This salary that you are calculating, I want to know it. She said, no, it's confidential. I said, me too, I'm working in a confidential department. I need to know it. I need to know this thing. And before now and then, they attached me with the head of human resource. From there, she was like, okay, this is NHF, NHIF, ITF, NSITF, ECA, every other things. And that is why we say you need to move from every industry. In manufacturing industry, as an HR, you must know the Factory Act. In a unionized environment, you must know the Trade Union Act. In general overview, you must know the ECA Act, you must know the labor law. We have these things. Of course, Mr. Yemi shared these things on our group to understand these things, and we keep on coming. I need the labor law, because these things are information that are within this thing. They help in giving your better decision on your job. It's not that these documents are there. While I was still a rookie in HR, every time I'm going home, I will open labor law on my phone when there's traffic. Section 1, Section 5. What does it say? No employer must deduct from somebody's salary. Section 18, leave. Anybody under 12 years must be given more than, and so on. This thing, they don't come by just doing it. No, it's because we want to know it. It's because when they call you on, you will be able to give them a response professionally, because organizations don't like people who they call on and you are murmuring, I'll get back to you. No, that's not professional. What is the status of these things? Oh, based on these things, we've been able to do this, do this, do this, do this. Oh, you are right on track. Thank you. And lastly, ask for feedback. It is very important. In fact, once we finish this learning series, I'll go and meet you. How did I do? You do fantastically well. You need to improve on this. You need to, because the feedback would let you know your deficiencies, where you need to improve in your performance, where you need to improve in your process, in your progress. Oh, you've done your mentorship, you've done all this mentor, you've been a mentee all your years. The mentor will tell you, okay, we are true. Now, go to CIPM, subscribe. Go to PHIR, subscribe. Because the feedback is that you need to keep on improving. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul, for that contribution. How do you excel? How do you excel? How do you excel in job hopping? Okay. We just finished discussing on how to excel when you stay put. How do you excel when you job up? As we begin to recap, be prepared. Okay.
I think we've taken
it. That's what I'm saying. Recap.
Okay.
Develop transferable skills. Make the right impression. Always learn and build what? Connection. Very key. Very, very key. Okay. Develop professional development seriously. Take mentorship seriously. Okay. Also embrace leadership development programs. Depending on where you are, who you are, you may want to do something on Masters in Business Administration, for example. You may want to do something on project management, for example. You may want to take leadership courses, for example. You know, yes, the technical courses are good, but because you are trying to advance in your career and you are trying to maybe break into the C-suite of your organization, you want to do courses around board effectiveness and relationship. These things are very, 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 very okay. So as we coast home, deciding whether to job up or stay put in one company is a personal choice. Don't let anybody guilt trip you to say, oh, you've just done 1 year. If it's not working for you, it's not working. And if you have stayed there for 16 years and it's working for you, don't let anybody guilt trip you to say, you don't know what is going on, you are missing out in life, or they are paying you peanuts. If it's working for you, it's also working for you. Our key concern tonight is that find fulfillment in your place, whether being loyal to one organization in perpetuity or making your contributions, living when the ovation is loudest, or even when there is any ovation at all. And we must be discerning to know this. Both options comes with benefits and challenges, but what matters most is how you approach them. By building transferable skills, whether you stay or you move, by staying curious and engaged, always sustaining your mojo, always seeking feedback and creating positive relationship, you can succeed in any work environment and thrive in your career. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the journey for tonight. This is the story for tonight. When you move around a lot, you must be very good with your interview skills. I've done case study, even me, I've done to case study. I do interviews, sometimes people say, it is obvious you are a professional in doing interviews. These are skills and competencies you build. Your CV must be hot. If you make a mistake of asking me for a CV, in less than 60 seconds, I will drop it. I asked someone for a CV, Paul, last week, Tuesday. Do you know that the person said, can you give me 2 weeks? This person has been in the same organization for 26 years. It doesn't even have a CV. Is that a sign of complacency or a sign of contentment? We must be able to draw a line between contentment and what? Complacency. Even if you are staying put, refresh your CV. So if you have questions, you have contributions, on emphasis on our subject matter. Today is not an open day. We are talking about staying put or job hopping. Please raise your hands quickly so that we can unmute you. You can either share your experience or ask your question. We need to be out of here latest by 12 minutes time. Any question, any comments? Thank you so much, Mr. Olabode. You have unmuted. You go ahead with your contribution, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Prof. I really appreciate this section. Sincerely, it speaks directly to me. With all sincerity, it speaks directly to me. A quick one. First, I have a question. I also have a contribution. So my question is, how will you now peg what is the standard? I know there's no standard anyway, but I want you to give me personally like an advice or professional advice that, so in an organization, what number of years will you say is okay? Because Paul mentioned during his presentation that anytime they see CV, when he's in recruitment, they always circle this guy that spent 6 months here, this guy that spent 1 year here. So which one will you say is the best? Is it 1 year, 6 months? Is it 2 years? One should spend in an organization. And also, secondly, my guy, with all sincerity, sir, on a flip side now, we need money in this ministry too to move forward. money is also essential. So personally, for me, my takeaway is one, continuous learning and mentorship. Remember the last time we met at Yaba? I don't know if you can remember, sir. I said you need to mentor me. You are mentoring me from above, from afar rather. You are mentoring me from afar, but now I'm requesting again, sir, that I need to move closer, that you need to mentor me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you, Paul. Okay, Shino. Paul, we have actually worked together before. You won't remember, but I've sent you a request on LinkedIn. Please check. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So there's no formula on how long you should stay somewhere. I've worked in places that I did 4 years. At least I've done that 2 times, and it was worth it. I didn't stay 4 years because I didn't get offers in those 4 years. I stayed 4 years because I was adding value. And I also worked in places that I did 6 months. Okay, but it also depends on your generation. So we will not suggest a tenure for Generation Z and suggest the same tenure for a millennial or a baby boomer. Someone was gisting around me recently and said, this is my current job. I've stayed too long. Out of curiosity, I asked, how long have you stayed? He said, Oga, a whole 18 months. In my mind, how is 18 months too long? I was expecting 8 years, 7 years, but in that young guy's mind, 18 months is like somebody's 8 years. Don't forget again that time is relative. For me, I won't want to put a time prescription out there, but I'll be able to say, don't live anywhere if you have not made a mark, indelible mark, a contribution. If you have not put something in place, process, system, structure, that permanently all the people who worked with you around and about the same time saying, oh, when Oluyemi Adeosun was here, please. So if it will take you 5 years to do that, 18 months to do that, 2 years to do that, at the minimum, please do it. Let me also add this. Don't also leave when you are like at the peak of your pay. What do I mean? Don't let it look like you left because you were ill-treated, maltreated, or maybe they did promotion, they overlook you. Don't leave out of bitterness. Please, it's important. Somebody dropped on the chat group earlier, and I agree completely. As much as possible, please, however you are living, whether after 20 years or 2 months, don't burn bridges. Be polite. Don't say good radiance to bad rubbish. Maybe you got ×4 of your salary. Don't rub it in their face. Don't say, don't say the people who value us have come for us now. No. Live respectfully. Do your handover. Even after you have left, if you have opportunity to support your successors and the likes, please be cheerful. I also tell people, like me now, because I also change industry, it's easy. I don't poach my ex-staff out of respect to my organization. It can be very tempting to pull your immediate subordinate from where you are coming from. But I do my best. I don't do it. Now, maybe after 3, 4, 5 years, so I've changed job like 2, 3 times, I can help you, but not immediately. I don't want to weaken the organization. I'm exiting. We'll go to Oluyemi Adeosun. But before that, Paul quickly wants to say something. Oluwapelumi, please be on standby.
So what I want to say is the fact that also, it's not about you setting a time band. You can't set a time band to move. Some certain things will tell you to move. Can be culture, like we always say, can be toxic, can be better pay. But what we are saying here is the fact that at every point you want to move, learn the things that would make you move higher. Also, like Mr. Yemi said, he said at a point, he took a pay cut. So at a point whereby you are moving also to an organization, they won't be able to pay you because the way you've been moving so high. So they will tell you, Oga, we cannot pay this money, but this is what we have for you. Manager to senior manager, and so on. So at every point in time, you must take that decision within your own self. So it's not about sending band. It's not about saying, okay, within this time frame. No, it's about saying that, look, I need to move by some contingencies you have within your environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We quickly go over to our colleague, Oluwapelumi Olaniran. Over to you, Ma, for your contributions, comments, or both. I hope your hands are not up by accident. You can unmute if you are still awake and ask your questions or make your contributions. Okay. I don't know why Oluwapelumi is not speaking. All right. Do we have any other question, comments, or contribution? Your hands are up, Oluwapelumi. Do you want to say something? Okay. Any other question, comments relative to this? If not, we're happy and delighted to call it a night. Tomorrow is another day. We have an interesting session tomorrow evening by 7:30. Focuses more on women, how they can move into C-suite. Oh, thank God, my sister has raised her hands. Oluwaseun Ogunkoya, you have the floor, my sister.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for this session. I'm glad that I'm here. It's been very, very insightful and so much nuggets to pick from the session. I want to ask a question regarding something you said, answering the last person's question about not leaving when there's an issue. I would like for you to do like a bit of an elaboration on how do you handle situations like that. So say, for example, you joined an organization where you're supposed to be confirmed in 3 months. After 3 months, they extended your confirmation by 2 months because of, say, recruitment. They say, oh, you're not recruiting fast enough, right? They expect some kind of speed. And you know how recruitment is. It takes a while. You put up ads, offer interviews and all, say minimum of 2 weeks to 1 month, right? Before you can, fill a role, go over all of the processes. But these people expect that once they say we have to recruit a position, by like next 1 month, by the next day, you should start having really competent people, to fix in this position. So because of that, your confirmation was extended. Now, after these 2 months, they still did not do anything. Going on 7, 8 months, and then you decide, based on this, I just have to leave, right? Is that, to what you said, is that like leaving when there's an issue? Like, I just want to understand how to, deal with situations like that. I don't know if you understand that question.
I do. I perfectly understand. You see, when we have issues at the workplace, there can be many reasons. But let me mention 2 or 3 quick sides to it. One reason can be genuinely, there's a competency gap. And when I say competency gap, the competency can be the skill or capacity. The competency can also be the pace. So, for example, using your specific example, you may know how to recruit, but you are recruiting slowly. You know, some people cannot even recruit at all. Now, if you just leave the organization because of that, I won't be happy. Do you know why? I want you to surmount that problem in that organization. After it has been surmounted, if there is a window of opportunity and you leave, I don't want them to say it's because she doesn't know how to recruit. The conversation will be, you left because you can't recruit, rather than she left because she got an opportunity. Now, when you leave prematurely, and prematurely has nothing to do with either 1 month or 10 years, what will happen is you will go and take a suboptimal opportunity. You will get opportunity, but it will be what? It will be suboptimal, maybe like third best or fourth best. Now, when there are issues at the workplace, and let me provide a solution to this, your suggestion. If anybody here is in charge of recruitment, let me give you a hack. Go and advertise all the roles in your office. I'll say that again. Let me give, there's no secret to successful recruitment. If you declare a role open, the date is open, you are not going to meet the deadline. It's not rocket science. Now, when I say go and advertise, now there is wisdom. So let's say you are working with company XYZ. You are not going to now use company XYZ is looking for a mechanical engineer when there's somebody on the scene. That's why sometimes you see a lot of us, we have a Gmail, and we now say a company in the financial sector, a company in the oil and gas is recruiting for, because you cannot put company XYZ and advertise for the role of head marketing when somebody is there. Because that person, you can't explain to him that I'm backing you up. He will say, no, maybe I've done something wrong. I just gave you one hack in recruitment. And there is an hack for almost every value chain of HR like that. So now, if you have learned the hack and you've overcome the hack, the challenge, the situation, and for one reason or the other, they still don't confirm you, send a mail. Have a session to say, look, you are supposed to be confirmed in 6 months. If you are not going to be confirmed in 6 months or 3 months, and there is a probation period, there must be a reason for that probation. What are these action steps? For example, is it that there are deliverables? Am I not meeting it up? You have those. It can be difficult, but have the conversations politely. Don't be emotional about it. Go with numbers, go with details, reports, like a dashboard, so that you can share your insights and your concern. If they are still now not confirming you, sometimes I say I don't believe in rejection. I believe in redirection. But I want you to stretch yourself. So you are not exiting at the slightest inconvenience. You are not exiting at the slightest discomfort. Look at it may be exaggerated, but what is the merit of the matter? What is the message in the mess? So that if you go to any other place, that value, you will have extracted it from that situation. It can also be a perception issue. But you know what? Many times perceptions can even be more real than reality. So our job is also how to manage perceptions. Sometimes it may be how to correct or reverse a negative perception. And it's a skill that is not only applicable to us in HR, but irrespective of our career. Paul, you want to say something?
Yes. So what I want to also tell her is the fact that emotional intelligence is very important. I've seen people who are having a toxic relationship with their line manager based on one or two things or the other, and they are unable to absorb it. So what they do is they fly high. They say they are leaving. They tender resignation. They want to move. Even from the way they do things in the organization, everybody knows that this person he wants to leave. So what I do in most situations like this, because of course you've worked with different type of people. We are working with different people every day. So what I do is anytime I see my boss smiling, happy, in that sense, I go with my own smiling mood also. Ogami, I'm having this thing tendering. I want to tender this thing. It's still pending. How can we go about it? At that point in time, they will give you the good advice. They will give you the better instruction to make sure that that thing is delivered promptly. So we need to understand that these people, you can control them by what we use as emotional intelligence. So you need to be intelligent the way you interact with these people, because it's you that need this thing. They don't need it. They've become so high, bossy in their own career. So what is you that needs something from them? So by that point, you need to find a way to interact with them. Can be a phone call at night. Can be maybe their favorite sport. You know, they watch football in this lounge. You can go there one day and sit with them. While we were in university, once we have issues with a lecturer like this, we'll go and be doing research. Where is their favorite sport? Where did they sit down to? Are they part of the care guide? And all these things is because we want to find a way to penetrate them and to make sure that they should be able to understand us from their own point of view. So that's all I have to say.
All right. Oluwaseun, are you satisfied? Are you satisfied? We'll round up with Oluwaseun Obukoya tonight.
More or less. Oh, well, the response is okay, but maybe I'll reach out to you personally.
Okay, that's also part of the procedure. It's allowed. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We do not take it for granted. By tomorrow, this will be uploaded on YouTube at the very latest. Thank you so much, Paul Okeshino. Thank you, everyone that has joined. We'll keep learning, we keep growing, and we keep winning. Good night. God bless. Cheers.